please remember that once we begin, that my words are charged with healing energy and healing love. So please know that this is going on. So if you feel any kind of stirrings in your body, just accept that energy could very well be moving. Good evening, everybody. And thank you for being with us on this kind of big time healing journey, if you will, that sometimes we are invited to look at some areas of our lives that have been hidden and that have been sometimes painful. And in order for them to be healed, they have to be exposed, shall we say. But of course, this is all very, very private. The issues that are causing us pain and suffering may kind of rise into your awareness. And so I invite you to stay with it and just breathe, right? Because each chakra needs to be, to some extent, to the extent that actually depends on each person individually, each chakra needs to be cleaned and opened. So it's very possible that we visit some places that could very well be a little bit uncomfortable. So good evening, everybody, again. And just wanted to do a little bit of a recap, if you will, on what we've done so far. And I'm very happy to tell you that the first three chakras are the most difficult ones, because those are the areas where we have stored the most challenging imprints. First chakra, of course, sexuality, safety, security, early life issues that you'd be surprised most of us have not fully resolved. Second chakra, the kind of back and forth power struggles frequently, and as we begin to open and clear them, we can actually welcome our creativity, and that, at least I'm assuming, creativity is life. And so opening to new life, new ideas, new possibilities, as we have already looked, and of course we will keep returning to it in that second chakra. So welcome to the third chakra. Color is yellow. So it is actually true that our emotions can be healed, because usually we kind of have them nicely locked up there, and locked up emotions do cause discomfort in our lives. I invite you please to just look, as I'm doing a little bit of a preamble, to look here at the third chakra, balanced. And to be honest, I don't know if it can be totally, fully balanced at all times. In fact, probably not. You know, when difficult things happen during the course of our day, we tend to block the energy. And we, of course, you've given me the pleasure to work with you to at least make you aware, right, of where you could be blocking your own energy flow. Remember that the reason why we are here, if you wanted to be reminded, is to bring more ability for you to create and to manifest. Remember that the Creator's energy, universal energy, divine energy is flowing through you. And so whenever we bring constrictions to these chakras, we also bring constrictions and limitations to your ability to have the creativity and the ability to create and to manifest some of your deepest desires. Am I right? Would you all like to create and to manifest a little bit in a bigger way rather than just, have challenges all the time? And of course, the answer is a big yes for me as well, of course. So I invite you to just take a look here at the third chakra. Our emotions can be healed instantly. Have you ever noticed, I've certainly noticed myself, I think I shared with you last week when I used to do corporate training, sitting in a boardroom with some of the directors, all adults, and they were actually all men, that they can go from, smart, attractive, intelligent, but if a challenge comes up that couldn't be resolved, they would regress almost to a small child, instantly blaming and shaming and stomping feet and leaving the room, or flipping into their quote-unquote internalized parent, which is kind of telling people what to do, or regressing to a very small child, feeling accused and feeling blamed and feeling victimized. So it's kind of interesting to watch and noticing within yourself, right? It tends to be easier for many people to flip into the internalized parent so we can tell other people what to do, and that's not a good thing, because then we are leaving that hurt child, right? And it's that hurt child that needs to be brought into the heart and embraced. The hurt child is the second chakra. The internalized parent is also the second chakra. And so what we are doing, we're wanting to bring that energy up into the fourth chakra, which is next week, so to speak. So in order to step into the heart chakra with grace and a lot of possibilities, we are taking a look today at the third chakra. And I trust that you are looking at that third chakra. Color is yellow, as I said. And always the digestive areas, right? I don't think there's one person on this call who has not had or is having digestive issues. The health of the organs, your intestinal tract, your liver, your kidneys, usually are part of the third chakra. And actually what I do when I have digestive challenges is I may take a yellow cloth or a yellow towel and maybe go to sleep with the color yellow on my belly, right? Because digestive issues is something that kind of all of us have at some point because of the food not being clean anymore. So I invite you to look, your self-esteem issues, your authenticity and your integrity. If we're out of integrity and if we're not authentic, that's going to create a stagnation in the third chakra. Can we all relate? Yes, yes? So I think we all avoid difficult situations, but you'll find as you practice, if you will, to truly live from your third chakra when that is needed, to be authentic, to have integrity, you'll find that your self-esteem will blossom, because there's nothing wrong with being real. It could be difficult to communicate even in personal relationships, but you have to be real. Otherwise, the energy stagnates. And therefore, you're cutting off your own flow. So I invite you to look again on the out of balance column, if you will. I think that's probably familiar with most of us, the need to control. Who can relate to the need to control. Yes, most of us. And as we progress on our path together, when we step into the heart chakra next week, we're going to focus on, what is control and why does it stagnate the energy so much? It stagnates actually the energy from divinity because it demonstrates a lack of trust in the divine plan. You know, I'll do it myself. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. I don't need you. I'll do it myself. Right? Can we all relate to that? Yes. Good. Okay. Occasionally I need a little breath break, if you will. So we are maturing our emotions, right? From those childlike emotions of fear and control and blaming and shaming and power struggles. We are learning to mature our emotions. And so before I forget, and responding to some of you during the week who've contacted me personally, if you feel so guided, you are very welcome to send me a little testimonial, just telling me how do you feel about our work? Do you feel that, although it may be a little challenging, do you feel that you're awakening to a different way of being, a different way of living? So I invite you to do that. Also, yes, to answer some of your questions, if you feel that working one-on-one with me, I'm certainly welcoming that. If you feel that you want to do that, I usually like, this is a coaching and a healing program. So doing the full 10 sessions, which is kind of top of the list, because your life will change in very substantial ways if you feel called to ever do that. So you know where to find me. And of course, you know where to find me here at the Theosophical Society as well. When I take a breath, it is literally because I need to balance my own system, because the energy that I put out is quite substantial. To see all your lovely faces, I need to monitor my own energy as I continue to do what we do here. And this may be a little bit challenging because you're going to come face to face with an aspect of your being, or my being, because of course I'm in this as well, that has been blocking your path. And to shine light upon some of your structures, we need to look at what it is that we do that is blocking our flow. So I think we, as you can see, becoming aware of which ego structure is blocking your spiritual path and feeding those power struggles. Because we know already the universe is a mirror, right? You're going to, at the ego level, we're going to attract in our lives, either in personal relationships, even in business situation, because everything is based on the law of attraction, right? The universe is a mirror. So if you are struggling with people in your life, either business or personal, it really doesn't matter. The universe will mirror to you what it is that you want to focus on. From an ego perspective, we usually attract the opposite action or reaction. if you will. And most of us can relate to that. From the perspective of the heart, which we are moving into next week, it is more like attracts like, right? You know, the old saying is that opposites attract. Well, that could be true, but it is mostly at the level of the ego, right? Once we are opening the heart, we tend to attract a like perspective, right? You're attracting, I guess, more of a balance of harmony, of attraction, even in the sexual sense, because the power struggles, for the most part, are being resolved. Is that clear? Yes, just give me a yes so I can say, I can see. Good, good. Not to scare you, but just to bring to your awareness that everything is a choice. And when we know better, we do better, right? That certainly is the case for me. And I can say from a place of honesty, looking at the heart perspective, it's not that difficult things don't happen anymore, but I feel I'm able to get past them so much quicker. Like I used to be like totally depleted for days or weeks or forever when difficult things happen. That doesn't happen anymore. Yes, of course, difficult things happen or challenging things happen, but I'm able to process so much quicker, sometimes even in the course of an hour. So before it used to take days or weeks and creating drama that just would not end. So no, I'm not saying you'll never have an issue again, but from the heart perspective, as we begin to resolve the third chakra, we can clear issues a lot easier and a lot quicker than before. Whenever we take a little breath break, please breathe. And remembering that we breathe, putting the hands on the belly for a moment, please. And I hope you take that into your life. Yes, so when we take a breath, allowing the belly to expand, I just call it a big Buddha belly. And when you exhale, allowing the belly to contract towards the spine, if you will, a little bit like a harmonica. Breathing in, Buddha belly. Breathing out, belly contracts. And it's a great help, if I may say so. When something difficult happens, that's actually nowadays the first thing that I do, is to do what I call the Buddha breath. Because immediately it starts pulling the energy from the head into the body where it can clear. It's no secret, most of us have lived in our head, where everything happens in the head, and of course there is no resolution to most things, because the resolution needs to come from the heart, or at least from the connection between the head, because we do need good logic, but we need the heart connection as well. So the head and the heart. And I'm always open, you know, I'm a human being. I have essentially life issues like all of us. But as I've been able more and more to connect the head and the heart, I call it the sacred marriage. My neck is feeling more comfortable. My heart is feeling softer. I get less triggered by what I used to get triggered about. We'll take that little space for breathing. Because remember what I said when we started, that this could be a fairly challenging session, because I'm going to ask you to identify some of the ego struggles that you do in your relationships, business, personal, no different, and that the people you interact with are doing. I call it ego structures. Remembering, of course, that everything that is not in alignment is an energy drain, right? And each time we catch ourselves like, oh, I need to align myself, becomes an energy gain and becomes fuel for your desires to be met more easily. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. That's why that's why I like asking for feedback, because feedback adds richness to what we do. Yes, absolutely. Obviously, nothing personal. I don't know if you have or have had fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is seen as a victimizing condition. Most of us focus on the symptoms because we want to be comfortable, you know. But I've designed this whole program, if you will. I work with people with AIDS. I work with people with cancer. I work with people who just simply want to feel a softer, more pliable body. I work with people with heart challenges. When the heart has been closed for too long, it wants to be open, it wants to be felt. And fibromyalgia, whether it applies to you or not, I need to put that out, is frequently a condition where people have felt victimized in life. It's a pretty severe energy drain, if you will, because people who have fibromyalgia or related conditions have experienced a lot of energy drains where they may have given their power away for a variety of reasons. It's interesting, when somebody asks a question, it kind of sparks a deeper opening, if you will, into the conversation. Does anybody else want to share something? Okay. Remember that my job is to help you to become aware of what you are doing that is essentially depleting you in life. And as I said before, I have big time experienced energy drains. I think I shared it almost every time. I had a headache for 15 years non-stop, just would never go away. And every body worker, chiropractor, acupuncturist was not able to help me consistently because I was doing actions in my marriage that was too accommodating, essentially tolerating too much without being able to speak up, or feeling too disempowered to speak up. And so it's very important, as you review your own heart, to begin to acknowledge within yourself. The very first chakra, that color is of course red. If I may suggest to review the slide. Of course, I know what the first chakra holds in the way of what is not healed, and the potential when it does heal is your sexuality. Very, very important. I may still suggest the Theosophical Society allows me to facilitate a program on sacred sexuality. A sexuality, of course, way, way, way past the shame and the doubt and the victimization that the culture has given us. The first chakra needs to be open because it is the chakra that we use for grounding, right? We need to be grounded to Mother Earth. And whenever there are limitations or substantial limitations in the first chakra, that's going to speak of a kind of abandonment feeling, not belonging, being fearful of finances or lack of finances. And most of us have some limitations in the first chakra because we know so little about our early life, if you will. So now we're going to look at some difficult things. Are we all ready for that? Either what you do that's difficult or what a significant person in your life, a parent, a child, a work situation, we're going to have the courage to identify a power struggle with a significant person, co-worker, partner, family member, child, because self-neglect and the feeling of unworthiness are probably the most significant energy drains. So the first one, do you or a person that you interact with on a regular basis do a lot of blaming? Like it's always your fault, right? Blaming. This happens because you did or you did not. And if I don't want to own anything that is not working for me, frequently, the mechanism of blaming is what many people use. In other words, it's always your fault, right? And I think we've all experienced the discomfort with that. And the beginning of forming the energy of victimization. As I said, this is a challenging segment, but we have to be aware, to become aware. Another energy drain would be deflecting. Can you relate what deflecting means? Please share if you can think of a situation where a person you're interacting with is deflecting. Please share if you can, if it resonates with you, if you've experienced it, or if you've noticed yourself doing it. The kind of who, me kind of thing? No, not me. Or, oh, I used to call it like crazy making. Like, what? Who says? No, it was you. Actually, it wasn't me at all. It was you. You're the one who always does that, not me. Right? I'm kind of deliberately pushing buttons so you can be aware of the drain that can be caused in that third chakra. Do we need to just pause for a moment on those two, blaming and deflecting? Does that resonate? A little humor is very welcome. And how true is that? Oh my goodness. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for your input. Well, they all need to come and do this class, right? Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Withholding. Can anybody relate? Deliberately withholding. I have personally experienced a lot of my partner, my ex-husband, withholding, like shutting down, I guess you could call it, right? It's also interesting to note that people, once we identify, first of all, what you do and what people in your life do, is that they do this because it's too painful to express, right? There's, of course, active anger and passive anger, and people who do withholding, they don't feel less pain than another person, but the pain is so severe that they literally cannot get it out, right? And so it gets stored in the body, and guess what? When there are too many emotions stored in the body, that's going to really affect your flow, it's going to affect your manifestation, and of course it causes conditions, health conditions, both to yourself and the person who is the recipient of the withholding. Clear? And I hope you're feeling in your body the discomfort. Not that I want you to feel discomfort, but I want you to be aware, right, of maybe what you may not have been aware of before. Now let's take a breath in that belly, shall we? Making a Buddha belly as you breathe in. And breathing out, allowing the belly to contract. Breathing in. And allowing the belly to contract. Have we done stonewalling? That's kind of a little bit the same, I guess, as withholding. You know, when it's almost like you're talking to a wall, right? And it makes the recipient of the stonewalling very angry because, like, hear me, you got to respond to this, hear me, right? When I used to be a regular counselor, a lot of domestic violence was due to that. When the person refuses to interact, and actually, with love in my heart, it's not because they refuse to interact, it's because they cannot interact. The pain is so severe. So if you're a stonewaller, just kind of take some breaths and know that it needs to be softened. And frequently, those ego structures are formed as children, right? And they just kind of never changed, you know. And of course, you cannot have a healthy relationship, personal or business, when you stonewall, right? So stonewalling is very, very difficult. I have experienced it. I've never been a stonewaller because I want to, you know, I want to get it out. I want to interact. But some people are stonewallers. No blame, no shame. It's just what happens. And we breathe. Because I realize I'm probably touching on some tender areas, if you will, that as you awaken to its detriment, you can begin to shift it. And as always, we're going to do a practical in a moment. Shutting down, I guess, self-explanatory. There's kind of a vague difference. But yes, shutting down, I don't think that needs too much explanation. It's a refusal to interact. And here again, if you do this, or if somebody in your life does that, just know that they also deserve love, because they just cannot open sufficiently to let the feeling be heard and be a participant in an interaction, right? And it's usually that one person will attract the opposite, because remember, we're still in the ego. Next week, we're stepping into just a much more lovely place, which is the heart of forgiveness. But we have to look at what is difficult. And so then we come to our last, there must be more, but it's just the ones that I have here, invalidating and minimizing. Has anybody experienced that? I'm seeing some little nods. I've experienced it. Frequently, that takes the people will say, and please excuse me, gentlemen, this is only a communication, but if you do, because many men do this, they will say, you're too sensitive, right? Which is the biggest invalidation you can give a partner, right? It's negating a person's feelings. You're too sensitive. You take everything the wrong way. Well, if I take everything the wrong way, maybe communicate it to me then clearly, right? Then I can take it in the way it was intended, right? So this is really big. Invalidating somebody is negating their personhood, right? And minimizing their feelings, right? Minimizing their feelings, which frequently results in the other person either becoming very angry, because when you get accused of something, it's normal to want to defend yourself. But of course, we're learning not to just come from the ego. Whew, I need to breathe with that myself. Remember, as we become aware of the power struggles, we can actually release them, right? And as we become aware of the power struggles and we open to our divinity, remember that is why we're doing this, to connect with the earth and with the sky, to connect with your wisdom, to connect with source. I kind of like the word source because the word God is way too charged, and we are in the Theosophical Society. So whatever your heart opens to, is it Buddha? All that is fine. But when the power struggles diminish, we open to the beauty of the flowering heart, right? Which is the heart of forgiveness. It's the heart of love. But I think you'll agree, if you're in relationships, business or private, it doesn't matter, with a child, with a sibling, with a person who displays too many of those power struggles, the heart closes. And if it happens to be a sexual connection, your first chakra will also close. I don't think a loving sexual connection is possible with a person who essentially, you know, makes you feel bad. Let's just put it in plain language, right? And that is not possible. So I invite you to take a look here while I take a drink. What either are your ego structures that you may do without knowing, or that you find a person that you're in relationship with, personal, private, it really doesn't matter, and that you feel that maybe at last you can become aware of. Tell me, does this resonate with you? I do understand that this is like slightly invasive, but in order to heal, you got to feel, right? Right? Because what you can feel, you can heal. Yes, I mean, I've worked with these for so long, and most interactions that have been so ego-based in intimate situations, in marital situations, in could be parental, parent-child situations. When we feel wounded, or once we have been wounded by a parent or a partner, you know, forgiveness is important, but it's actually pretty interesting how the body closes out of not wanting to be hurt again in the way. And so the shutting down and the stonewalling is frequently related to that. Of course, I do expect you to take this into your heart and to work with yourself during the course of the week, right? So I hope that I have given you, in somewhat of a challenging way, I guess, food for thought, right? Food for alignment. Remember that the pranic tube is the equivalent of your central nervous system at a spiritual level. And so whatever blockage, and we all have, I don't think there's a person on the planet who has a completely clear central nervous system. But as I said last week, when we repeat and repeat and repeat the same ego structure from a victimizing way or from an aggressor way, the central nervous system becomes inflamed. And we know that an inflamed central nervous system causes illness. Literally, most cancers are caused by an inflamed nervous system. When things have just been around for too long, and essentially when something stays for too long, it just adds energy, essentially, until the body is no longer able to cope. So I know this is difficult. Actually, it's still difficult for me to even teach it, but I feel that ultimately it is really useful. So when we feel ready, what time is it? Yes, good. I may just ask you to sit quietly for a moment and bring into your awareness an ego structure that you feel you've practiced yourself, or that you have been the recipient of. And certainly, if you're the recipient of, you have felt in your body the discomfort. You felt in your body the need to shut down, to protect, Remember, whenever this happens, you're blocking the flow in your body. So I'm going to give you a moment to kind of search your heart, feel your body, where in your body, remember your body is a vessel and a vehicle, where in your body do you feel the discomfort of one of those ego structures? My favorite, I can't, there's no textbook answer, but my favorite, I feel comfortable with, I usually say, something, this hurts my heart. Or, blaming me does not resolve anything. Let's see if there is a co-creative part in this, right? Because we must both have contributed to the creation of this situation. I just like, what you're saying is hurts my heart. Blaming does not resolve. I take responsibility for my part in this interaction, right? That's, of course, a lifelong thing because we are literally just coming to the place in our lives where many of us are ascending into 5D, and we don't have to be totally clear to ascend into 5D, but we must have some awareness of what is not working, right? Because 3D is just totally ego-based, and I think we've all had enough of that, right? Breathing will actually open the body, open the vessel. I'm inviting you to take a look at which power struggle that either you involve yourself with or have felt the pain of being the recipient of, right? And so please, as we begin our practical, bring the particular power struggle that you've either been inflicting on somebody or been the recipient of. And close your eyes, please, and connecting to the breath. And let me see if I can get the energy. If you do not want the healing energy to come to you, just say, you don't want it, and it will just very respectfully flow around you. If you feel that you do want to receive the high voltage energy, then please focus. Remember, I'm asking you to focus on what is difficult, not just on what is easy, what is difficult. So the powerful, the high voltage energy can begin to melt that energy, if you will. So bring into your awareness the particular power struggle that is causing hurt to your heart. And gently bring your attention back. And breathe. Do your belly breathing, please. And open your crown chakra, please, top of your head. And open your first chakra at the bottom of the spine. And keep your foot windows open. By now you know what foot windows are. It's the soles of your feet. And just kind of feel or imagine to feel your pranic tube wide open. Remembering that each breath is a sacred energy flowing through you. Now we're going to take the first chakra, the second chakra, and the third. We're going to take them as a group that is red, orange, and yellow. And just opening them up with your breath. Fourth chakra, which is the center of your chest, and the color is green. That is the chakra of co-creation. Co-creation means, of course, that we are participating with the universe to create. And the energy of co-creation is what we're going to go into next week. And then gently, the throat chakra is blue. And the brow chakra is indigo. And the crown is violet. And opening the crown to the universe. Taking a couple of gentle breaths through the entire circuitry. Sometimes it is referred to as the microcosmic orbit. Breathing in from the ground all the way up the back of the spine. Rolling over the head and exhaling down the front of your body back into the ground. And please do 3 of those by yourself, because it's always a little challenging to synchronize breath with somebody else. Good. And when you're ready, please, if you would please bring your hands in prayer to your heart center with your thumbs pointing towards the heart in the middle of the chest. And we're going to chant a beautiful Om together to join the inner world and the outer world in sacred harmony. We're going to chant a beautiful Om. So, breathing in Loka samasta sukhinu bhavantu. May all beings be blessed. May all beings be at peace, have enough to eat, and a safe place to sleep. Namaste. Namaste, lovely people. Co-creation next week. Universe, new beginnings, right? The most difficult part is over.